Good day, friends. There is one simple number that quietly follows every serious intelligence briefing in Washington, every counter proliferation expert at the International Atomic Energy Agency, every senior advisor sitting in the White House Situation Room, and every operative in the CIA. The number is very simple, and the number is number 12. It's 12 days, and that is the current Western intelligence estimate for how long it would take Iran to enrich enough uranium for one nuclear weapon. Not to build it, not to build the bomb, not to test it, or not to fire it, only to have the core material in hand. They need 12 days. That's a very short time. And nobody, not in Washington, not in Tel Aviv, has a clear answer for what happens on day 13. So that's what we are going to discuss today. I am Dr. Adeel, former newsroom correspondent and a media researcher, and you are watching In Focus with Dr. Adeel. Let me make this very simple and very clear for common people. This story is usually buried under technical language, and they use a lot of diplomatic phrases, and they make it something which is very urgent. They make it feel distant. It is not distant, and it is not an abstract idea. Think about October 1962, when Americans learned that Soviet nuclear missiles were sitting in Cuba just 90 miles from Florida. That quiet fear, that feeling that the world had shifted while daily life kept going. That feeling is not history. It is a pattern. And we are living inside a very similar structure today, but with a different country, different technology, and in a different region. But realities are the same, and the same central questions we still face today. How close is too close? So here is the real question of this episode. Is Iran months away from a nuclear grade weapon? The honest answer from serious analysts is the gap between Iran today and the nuclear threshold is the smallest it has ever been. You must be wondering how it happened. That means the key question is no longer whether Iran can build a nuclear device or not. That is not a question anymore. The real question is far more uncomfortable for you and for me and for entire world. Has Iran already made the political decision to do it after what is happening in Iran? Let me walk you through what we actually know about this. Let's go back in early 2025. International inspectors confirmed that Iran had accumulated uranium enriched to 60%. That is a number. And that 60% is a weapon grade uranium. And they need 90% enrichment. So 60 sound far, but it is not. The hardest work is already done, and they have done it quite early. Once a country reaches this level and has advanced centrifuges, the jump from 60 to 90 can be very fast. And Iran has those machines and mechanisms, and will too. Now, there is one facility that matters more than any other, and in previous 1 year we have heard about it. The name is Fordow. It is buried deep inside a mountain near the city of Qom, which is a religious city in Iran. It was built underground for only one reason, And that reason is to survive an airstrike which US conducted in last June. The site was not announced by Iran earlier. It was discovered by Western intelligence, and it sits under roughly 90 to 110 meters of solid rock. What does that mean? That is not symbolism. That is a very hardcore strategy. Even modern bunker buster weapon struggle against that kind of protection. And last year US used bunker busters. Fordo is not only a nuclear site, it is a message for Western world. Right now, three things separate Iran from a usable nuclear weapon. First, a political order, a clear decision at the very top. Second, enough weapon grade material, which they already have. Third, the device itself, the trigger and the delivery system. So what Western intelligentsia believes? Western intelligence still believe that the political decision has not yet been made. But who knows? But inspector says the material gap is now measured in weeks, not months, not years. Which leaves the third part, the bomb design. This is the part most news coverage avoids, and we do not hear about it a lot. We only hear about weapon grade uranium, and we know that they have uranium. More than a decade ago, international inspectors released a detailed assessment of Iran's work on implosion devices, neutron initiators, and missile re-entry system. In plain and simple words, that was a bomb physics. It was not a classroom research. They had the organized and advanced work already done by Iranian scientists. Iran says that program ended in 2003, and most specialists agree the expertise did not disappear. Expertise are still there. It simply went quite under the blanket. What Iran has today is not only a nuclear program, it is an option for them, a maintained option, and a deliberate protected option, an option that can be activated on Iran's timeline, on their own will when they want it, not anyone else's. And this brings us to the most important idea in this entire story, which is called nuclear latency. Let me explain in simple words what is nuclear latency means. Nuclear latency means a country has everything it needs to build a nuclear device, but has not assembled one yet. So the capacity exists. So in Iran's case, it is very true. Decision has not been made yet, but they have the capacity. That alone changes behavior. Iran does not need to detonate a nuclear device to change the balance of power in the Middle East. Similarly, it does not need a test as well. Then what it needs? Even they do not need to announce it. So what it needs is something quieter. The accepted reality that it is one political decision away, and people should know that is called the nuclear latency. Now think about what this means for the region, for the entire region in Gulf and Saudi Arabia. Knowing Iran could reach weapon grade materials in roughly 12 days, and for Israel, a country that has already destroyed nuclear facilities in neighboring states in the past to prevent this exact situation, and now facing sites designed to be extremely hard to strike, like Fardos. And for the US Navy operating across the Gulf, what does that mean? So this latency shapes military and political calculations long before any bomb exists. So is Iran months away from a nuclear weapon? That question is still there. And the answer is, it depends on what you mean. If you mean enriched material, the answer is weeks, yes, not months. If you mean a fully deployable warhead on a missile, the timeline is a bit longer, and it depends on the political decision making. So most assessments still suggest roughly a year or more. But if you mean the political decision itself, the moment when Irani leader decide the cost of crossing the line is lower than staying below it, no intelligence agency can predict it. And that uncertainty is the real danger. The real danger is not the nuclear device. Here is some more hard truth. The window in which the international community could realistically stop Iran from reaching nuclear capability has possibly already closed. What remains is a narrow and much harder conversation, not about prevention, but about restraint, about the timings, and about the conditions. So you must remember one thing. You must remember the number 12 days, and that number is very dangerous. And you must remember 12 days when you hear officials says the program is under control or the program is destroyed and diplomacy is working. Keep the number quietly in your mind that they are 12 days away from developing a nuclear warhead. Thank you very much. See you later.